Okay, good evening. And on behalf of Mr. Esposto, Vice Principal, Mrs. Toth, Vice Principal, I want to welcome all of you to Grade 8 night. This is a historic, virtual, and hopefully the last time we ever have to do something like this. I want to thank all of you for joining us. My name is Brian Daly. I'm the principal of this great school. And I really wish that all of you were here with us tonight. One of the great things about Grade 8 night is that you get to experience our beautiful building, a building we hope you will entrust your child to us for the next 4 years. And since we couldn't do that, we couldn't have you in the building, we're going to try to put as many visuals as possible into today's presentation so you can get a feel for what it looks like around our school. I'll give you a very brief introduction to our school before we get to our prayer. Our school has about 900 students, approximately 200 grade 9s would be incoming next year. And there's benefits to that relatively small high school venue. Each grade 9 student and all students get their own locker. They get to have a common lunch because we know that young students, how important their friends are to them. So a grade 9 coming in from a feeder school or from a non-feeder school comes in with some friends is guaranteed to be sharing their lunches with that friend, and often several classes as well. We have a beautiful building I hope you'll see pictures of today. This building used to house as many as 1,800 students. So it's absolutely wonderful that we can use a building that big and beautiful and well-equipped to house our 900. I have muted your mics for this presentation. We'll talk later about how you're going to ask questions. We're going to do that in a by a message. You'll see emails. I do recommend that you shut your cameras off just for the recording, and you can just enjoy watching the presentation. Whether your camera's on or your camera's off, you'll be able to see what is being presented. So with that, I want you to know that this is going to be recorded. So for any of you who are looking to share this with people who are not able to attend, you'll be able to do that. It's going to be on our website later on tonight. So with that, I'm going to begin today's presentation. Okay, so we're going to start. This is the agenda for the evening. We're going to do a prayer and land acknowledgement. We have a video from our Director of Education, Mr. Hansen, and we're going to go through the following topics. We're going to briefly touch on the COVID-19 effect, the kind of effect it's had on the school. We're going to introduce you to our academic programs and the departments here at the school. We're going to talk a lot about the St. Mary, the student experience that your children will get when they come to the school. And we're going to then talk about how you can get your personal questions answered and talk about what our next steps are. For our first beginning, this is what we always do. We're going to start with a prayer. This prayer is written, as all our school prayers are written, by our students. And Meg Dury is a grade 12 student who submitted this, and it's in our parent guide, and it's in our it's part of what we do around here. So we're going to start with a prayer, and thanks, Meg, for writing such a beautiful one. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Dear God, I need your guidance more than ever as I carry on with this long endeavor. Times have been tough, and I have lost my direction. I need your help. I need our connection. I turn to you, Lord, for strength to continue and persevere, to help me think and keep my mind clear. Help me to see just how strong I can be, just how far I can go in all that I can see. Heal my mind and keep us entwined, my Lord, so you can guide me and heal me forevermore. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And now we'll begin with a land acknowledgement. The Hamilton Wentworth Catholic District School Board is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which was an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We further acknowledge that this land is covered by the Between the Lakes Purchase 1792 between the Crown and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. And now we're going to begin with greetings from Mr. Hansen.
Hello, my name's David Hansen, and I'm the Director of Education for the Hamilton Wentworth Catholic District School Board. It's my real pleasure to welcome parents and guardians and students to this, your Grade 8 Parent Night. While we know that this is a unique way of viewing your high school, certainly one we never planned, but we've been living with uniqueness over the last 6 months, haven't we? What I can tell you is the transition from grade 8 to grade 9 is an absolutely essential transition. And from personal experience, my middle daughter started high school this year. In 7 months, this transition is going to happen, and you'll find that the time goes very, very quickly. In your presentation, you get a chance to walk through all of the great things that this high school has to offer. And I can tell you this is a school of excellence. The board's mission and vision, at the heart of it, is the statement, we enable all learners to realize the fullness of their humanity, of which our Lord Jesus Christ is the model. I can tell you that this school lives out that motto every single day. So sit back, enjoy your walkthrough, enjoy all of the great things this school has to offer. I wish you every blessing for the rest of this year, grade 8 year, and look forward to seeing you in September next year as a grade 9 student at this school. Blessings.
Okay, thank you. And thanks, Mr. Hansen, for that message. And I also want to thank you for your patience with the videos. We have 2 videos. That's the first of 2. Hopefully we figured out the kinks for the second one. I just want to quickly go through a COVID update. It really is the talk of the town these days, and it's worth addressing, but I don't think worth dwelling on at this point because we're talking about September of next year. Since school began, we have reported 8 cases, 8 students and 2 teachers. We currently have 0 active cases, and we have 0 cases of in-school spread despite all those cases. Tonight's presentation is really going to focus on what can be expected for your son and daughter over the next 4 years. And I know that you'll join me in hoping and praying that the COVID-19 situation will be largely in our rearview mirror by the time your children join us. And so now we're going to begin with a talk about the academics at St. Mary. After all, that is the reason why people are coming to school. You're going to hear about a lot of the things that we do at this school. But really, when it comes down to it, the academics is the most important piece. And the Fraser Institute, if you're not familiar with it, they're an independent, nonpartisan research organization, and they call themselves a public policy think tank. They have a school ranking function that I would invite you to explore if you're interested in such things. And what they do is they come up with a ranking for each school based on the academic performances of their students. And they use 7 indicators for that. They're listed on your screen there. Grade 9 EQAO math scores, both academic and applied. Grade 11 literacy test scores. The participation rates on both of those metrics. And the gender gaps on both of those metrics. So if you're interested in more about the ranking, it's there. I don't want to dwell too much upon it because it really is just a ranking of how the students are doing at our school in general. But here are their rankings. If you look down at the bottom, you're going to see the overall rankings over the last 5 years. And you can see that we go somewhere in between 7.6 and 6.8. And it really all depends. On what year it is. So now I'm going to go through some of the departments that we have at this school. Departments are areas of subject focus that your sons and daughters are going to enjoy learning from over their time here at St. Mary's. Now, we usually have visits during nights like this. So normally you'd be meeting the people and going to these places in particular, but of course we can't do that now. So we're going to do the best we can introducing it to these areas virtually. So first of all, if we look up here on the top left, this just gives you a flavor of our visual arts department with Mrs. Kiley, wonderful teacher and department head. And look at the student and teacher artwork being done. It's Mrs. Kiley's very generous with her art skills and decorates the entire school. This is her room over here on the right. You can see some of the desks are squared off. We really hope that that's a packed classroom next year and we can take the tape off the desk. If I move down to the bottom left corner, we see that a number of these are our posters from our school plays. Mrs. Newberry in our drama department does a wonderful job each year of running a live play in our cafeteria, which becomes an auditorium. She's gone to the extreme of actually getting heights training so that she can change the bulbs on the theater lighting. That's the kind of passion that she brings every day. And we last year we did Wizard of Oz. And because we couldn't do a play this year, she found a way to do a movie, and it was entitled The Twilight Zone. So this is the sort of arts education you get. Now, when we move down here, you see a beautiful music room. Mr. Santos is down there in the corner. And Mr. Santos, Mrs. Kiley, and Mrs. Newberry, they are really all experts in their fields. Mr. Santos plays drums in a band. He's a performer. He teaches all kinds of different things in music, including instrumental, guitar. And he shares his talents with us through our liturgies. And so in general, the arts are well covered at our school. And every student needs to take one art to graduate, one of those three. And we're blessed to have experts in each of those areas. And so we move on to the business and computers department. Pictured here on the left is just your typical lab. Again, would like to see those pink sheets taken off in a full classroom, but hopefully we'll be there next year. There's a range of business and computer courses available to your sons and daughters when they come here, including Introduction to Business, computer programming, sports marketing, computers, accounting, and business is also a grade 9 optional course that some students who are particularly interested or want to get exposure to take. You'll notice I have the DECA up here on the right. That's DECA stands for Demonstrating Excellence, Celebrating Achievement. And it's a business and entrepreneurial extracurricular activity that we do every year at St. Mary. And finally, that last picture there is an interactive projector that allows teachers to write in a virtual way on a board. It's good in a classroom because it's very visual. It's especially helpful now during COVID because those screens can be shared into people's homes. And I'm so proud of the work being done around our school right now with so many people sharing their lessons. Because if you're only an elementary school parent, you may not know, but we are in a situation where only half the students attend each day. But a lot of our teachers are sharing their screens every day so the people at home are learning almost as if they're there, which is pretty cool. But it is good to know that every single classroom in our building is equipped with that technology. Now I move on to the Canada and World Studies Department. This is a very big department that includes many of our topics, including geography, history, civics, parenting and family studies, and also, as is depicted over here, a hands-on foods and nutrition class. It's a wonderful department with wonderful teachers. Grade 9 geography is a compulsory course for grade 9 students. And that's going to be your first exposure to the Canada and World Studies Department. But there's many more courses to come, including some optional courses like genocide later on in a grade 11 or a grade 12. And then we're going to move on to the English and Languages Department. And I just really want to put a bit of emphasis on this department in particular. Literacy skills are absolutely paramount in today's society, even for students who are maybe science focused. I really encourage you to impress upon your children the importance of developing their reading and writing and speaking skills, because it, to me, is the big separator in today's competitive job market. When you get into these highly competitive programs, yes, marks matter, but when everybody has high marks who's applying, it often comes down to how you present yourself on a resume, how you present yourself in an interview, and how you can present yourself when you're presenting to them. And so the English and Languages Department is a place where you can learn and practice all those skills. And I'm just, again, encouraging anybody who has, let's say, a science or engineering destination, focus very intently on your English and your languages, because those things really set you above when you go forward. On our left there, we have our OSSLT results over the last 5 years. We didn't write it last year due to COVID, so that's a bit dated, but you can see that those results are strong. On the average, our margin, we're 6% above the province and 7% above the board on average over those 5 years. In the middle, we have a symbol called the DELF. This is for people who are considering taking French in high school. Now, every student needs one French to graduate, but we have a well-developed French program which goes from grade 9 to grade 12. And despite being a small school, our French program graduates students who earn that DELF certification, the same certification that French immersion schools offer. So we do not have the kinds of courses that French immersions offer, but our French program, our French language program, is well developed, and we graduate French language students. For example, in 2019, we had 20 students from St. Mary's graduate with that certification. Now, I'm not in any way discouraging French immersion. I have 4 children of my own, and they all take French immersion. But if you choose to come to St. Mary's and you have a French immersion background, I just want you to know that you don't have to give up your French, and you can continue to develop that when you're here. Of course, English is compulsory. 4 credits are needed. You have to take 1 each year. And then this year we've offered an optional writing course in grade 12 again, and we're selling that to a lot of our higher end students who are starting to realize that essay writing is a very, very important, and creative writing are very, very important skills in this century. Moving on to mathematics. I speak openly about mathematics often because I am a former math teacher. Presenting the information here, these are our EQAO results over the last 5 years in academic and also in applied. And you can see that the applied result, that's not the best result there. But I do just want to explain that very briefly. We have very few applied students. We only have 34 applied students. So any kind of, it's very easy to raise or drop that number. And so it is what it is. But I think our 5-year track record speaks to the fact that we can educate our academic and applied students very, very well. I do want to highlight the optional gap closing math class. I know, especially as a former math teacher, but also as a parent, that not everybody gets math. And in some cases in elementary school, there were some gaps for whatever reason. And coming into high school to take math is an intimidating thing. And so we offer this gap closing math class in grade 9, which is really, it's meant to do exactly what it's termed to do. Close the gap for anybody that has some. Maybe they didn't have a great year in grade 8, or maybe they fell behind in grade 6 and spent time catching up, and they're not really sure where they fit in the math spectrum. Are they in the academic applied or locally developed? It could be in one of those 3 classes. Well, the gap closing math class is for you, because you get taught by 2 of our permanent math teachers, and we try to keep the groups together so that if they finish the gap closing math class and they go on to apply, they get the same teacher. We do that when we can. Sometimes the students from the gap closing math class do exactly what it's designed to do. They close the gap and they go to academic. And I'm very confident in our math program. It's excellent. We're blessed with great teachers at this school. In grade 12, we also have an optional calculus prep course for those students that are going to take post-secondary calculus. I taught a course like that when I was a math teacher, and I know how important it was for students. Calculus is a tough thing to do in first-year university. It's challenging for many, and the beauty of that course is you've basically done first-year university calculus before you enter university, and that's a nice little selling feature we have at this school. For math people, or for anybody, there's 3 credits needed, math credits needed to graduate. But in our case, and our students take many more often, we encourage that. And there's also math contests as well for those super high achievers. Moving on to the phys ed department, I tried to put as big a picture as possible so that you could see what a beautiful gymnasium we have. Look at that facility. Again, I'm not sure if they were building it again for 900 that we would get a triple gym with that kind of facility, but we do. It's really one of the most beautiful gyms in Hamilton. You need 1 phys ed to graduate. Most students take that in grade 9, but that's not a requirement. Many students take phys ed courses throughout their high school careers. It helps them, in my opinion, mentally and physically to perform at their best. Studies do show that being active physically helps you in the academic classroom. So even if you're not taking a phys ed class, you should maintain some physical activity, and people do better in their classroom when they do so. Interesting side note, all 4 of our phys ed teachers are actually OFSA champion athletes who graduated from St. Mary's. And they bring that kind of passion every day because they love being physically active, and they're all very competitive athletes who graduated from our school. So we're blessed with great facilities, including a triple gymnasium with super high ceilings. It was recently refinished and repainted. We also have a turf field. I have a beautiful picture of that later in the presentation. And that is doubled as a phys ed classroom very often, especially during COVID, where we've really tried to lean towards being outside as much as possible. Now, if I move on to religion, I want to talk about this with some detail, because I know that some people may be coming from a non-Catholic background or from a non-practicing background. First of all, we do not shy away from our Catholic values. They're in us and through us and in everything that we do, and they're taught through our religion courses. But some of the other course, there is a grade 11 religion course, and I just wanted to highlight. It's a world religions course where you learn about Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism. This really should be required education of anybody, in any human being, really. And so the religion curriculum is very relevant. If you look over at this graphic I have, what I want to, this is our Catholic graduate expectations. And I'm just going to read through them very quickly. These are our goals for your children when they leave our religious education program, but also our schools. Number 1, a discerning believer, an effective communicator, a self-directed, responsible lifelong learner, a responsible citizen, a caring family member, a collaborative contributor, and a reflective, creative, and holistic thinker. And I think regardless of your religious beliefs, I think you'd all agree that those are high goals for our children. I know that I want my children to graduate with those goals, and we do our very best at St. Mary to live up to that, primarily through our religion classes, but also through everything else that we do. We have anybody coming to our secondary school has to do 40 hours of Christian service. That's a graduation requirement. Understand that non-Catholics are very welcome at our school, and this part should really not scare you off. These courses do not require prerequisite knowledge, and once your child is here, they are very much part of the St. Mary family. We've had non-Catholics lead us in prayer, participate in our masses, our liturgies, and our non-Catholics often flourish in our religion classes. So we ask everybody to take a religion class each year. And pictured on the right there is a beautiful picture I took this morning. It's, I think God helped me out with that nice light snowfall to highlight the beautiful trees. That's a picture of our chapel. And Our chaplain, Mr. Hall, liked that picture so much he made me email it to him about 5 minutes after I took it. So Mr. Hall is a wonderful resource, and we'll talk about him a little more. He helps run our Dreams program. Now we have a student services division or department. This is a small but mighty department who really, they set the schedule for the school. It includes student success, SHSM, we'll talk about that, co-op, our social worker, and a Christian service animator. Big decisions get made over high school by students. And the job, and they do it incredibly well in student services, their job is to help you plan and prepare for your child's post-secondary goals, even if they change along the way. I have 4 children myself, and my oldest daughter's in grade 12. And honestly, it's only been in the last month that she's figured out her pathway. My son's in grade 11. He really doesn't know. So it's very totally fine if your child really doesn't have a pathway right now. But you can trust that when they do choose their pathway, they'll get help along the way from our fantastic people in the Student Services Department. Student Success there on the right, that is a separate department which works under Student Services, and it seeks to help those students who need extra help or monitoring to make sure they're still on pace to graduate, move forward. And it also provides an alternate space for some students if they need it. Some students may be overwhelmed within a classroom, and Student Success offers an alternate space from time to time as needed. And finally, just to the right outside of the picture, we have our co-op office. And co-op is obviously work opportunities for students. And it's a component of our SHSM program, which we can talk about a little bit later. When I get now to the science department, you need 2 science to graduate, but like math, many students take more. In our science department, that picture on the right there is a lab, just a typical lab. You can see we got people spaced well in there, and the microscopes and stuff are all bagged up. We hope the bags are off next year as we learn science in a more hands-on way. We have 6 dedicated science labs, and I'm going to repeat this a few times today, I'm sure, but we have 6 labs because our school was once much larger. We have from grade 10 to grade 11, much like math, it splits into a variety of sub-subjects, including physics, chemistry, biology, and environmental science. So those are in your child's future, and we have the courses and the expertise to teach those courses if your child has that interest. And finally, it's way ahead of time, but we do offer an enriched biology course similar to our calculus prep course that gives people exposure to the university curriculum before going to university. We're finally down to our technology department. And to our technology department, we offer all kinds of hands-on things. I tried to capture this in 5 pictures, but I could have done many more. If we start there on the left, we have a full-service auto shop. As you can see, we have multiple hoists. We have tire changing station, welding torches, all kinds of things. It's really a full-service auto shop, and we're blessed to have a fully qualified mechanic teaching in there every day. The next 2 pictures here are, you can see that students in the construction classes will learn all about electricity. They'll learn how to build things like chairs, and you can see that we welcome our girls and our boys together in those hands-on courses where they belong. And we have all kinds of saws and sanding things, and we do so safely and have for years. We're blessed to have good teachers in all those spaces. Down on the bottom, you get a little flavor, you have to be here to see it, of our ComTech department, where people learn how to do video. All our announcements every day are live video from that studio. And Mr. Ivanak does a wonderful job with his department, and along with Mr. Chazak, coordinating those video announcements. You also have the opportunity in the technology department to take courses in photography and healthcare, where we have enjoyed a great partnership with the St. Joseph's Villa that we value very much. And so there are healthcare, we have a healthcare field where many of our students get hands-on experience in the St. Joseph's Villa. And we look forward to, if anybody has an interest in healthcare, this really is a good place for you. And now I just want to talk about our special education resource department. First of all, if you're new to our school board, you'll know that inclusion is our model. We have approximately 200 students who access our special ed resource department, so there really should be no stigma. That's 200 of 900. If you have a formal IEP, it gets transferred to our school. Support in the classroom is available for those students because they need sometimes a little extra. If you are registering from a non-feeder school, you just have to be sure that you have that information ready at registration time when you meet with me or one of the vice principals. And if you're in a feeder school, rest assured that our staff has very detailed transition meetings in the spring prior to September. And so that's the point of that picture there with the transition. That transition from our feeder schools to the high schools is well developed. We've been doing it for many years, and it's a seamless transition. I do want to pause here for a second to tell this wonderful story that I hope will warm your heart as much as it warmed mine when I heard about it and I was here. On the right there is Stella Oliver, and on the left, number 25, is Laura Stremble. They met each other as youngins, kindergarten kids at St. Augustine. And from day one, right through when they graduated, they were best friends. And there is a story on the board website. You'd have to dig it up a little bit. But again, if you were to look up Stella Oliver, Laura Stremble, HWCDSB, you'll find that story. But our social worker characterized that story so well, and it's quoted in the article. And the story is how they grew up together from kindergarten to grade 12. Stella now is at the University of Ottawa, and Laura and Stella still stay in touch. And the story, as our social worker, Mrs. Duffy Carriam, said, it's a love story, a genuine friendship. And it really is a personification of our board's motto when it comes to special ed: each belongs. So to conclude academics, we believe our Fraser Institute ratings reflect our strong academics. It really kind of reflects our strong teaching, but also our strong students. Your child is going to benefit from our great teaching staff and the support network around them, which is extensive. Your child is going to benefit from our strong special ed program and the good work of the people in it. You can trust St. Mary to provide your child with an excellent education. Honestly, it's a great place. And now I just want to talk about some of the unique opportunities at St. Mary's, some of the extracurriculars and the things that our students enjoy. As you can see, a lot, like I said earlier, a lot of these clips and stuff are pre-COVID, but I really hope by the time your sons and daughters are back, that we are back to doing this. As you can see, there's a beautiful picture of our turf field. And this is a day where we had a buyout football game. And obviously we had a lot of school spirit that day. That was the day we opened the field. It was our field blessing day. And it was blessed by Father Tim Terrio, who's a friend of our school. He's moved on, but we'll never forget the impact he made on us. Because Father Terrio that morning at Mass, the day before, he taught us what his favorite song was, because Father Terrio is from Windsor, which is just south of Detroit. And so he taught us his favorite song. And then our kids broke out in it at the football game. So I want to show you the kind of spirit that happens around here and the kind of fun you can expect your sons and daughters to have when they get to St. Mary's. I'm really hopeful that the audio comes through. I think it's ready, but we'll see. I get a bit emotional when I see that video, actually, seeing those kids have so much fun. I know that nowadays it really should be like that, but it'll happen again, I know. I will say though, I don't want to overdo it. I think the student body turned it up a bit when I put my phone out and they realized that I was recording that. I got to be honest. I think they cranked it up a little bit. And back to sports. You're going to get all the standard sports. That's what I tried to depict in this slide. All the standard sports you'd expect when you come to St. Mary's. There are some that you may not expect. If you want to play, here's the thing about St. Mary's with 900 students. You're likely to make a team. We are competitive. We actually won both the men's and the girls hockey championships last year. And there's lots of opportunities because when you're only 900 and only 200 grade 9s, you'll find that your son or daughter is going to likely find a spot on one of our teams. And that is a really nice thing about a small school, that if you want to get involved, you're going to have opportunities to do so. Here's some other of our great activities. On the left there is the Best Buddies basketball game, which you can see the crowd in the background. This is a whole school event where we have our students with special needs have a game with our basketball players in front of a packed crowd and complete with a trophy ceremony, a national anthem, and it's a celebration of each belongs in a sports way. A lot of those students never get a chance to play in front of a huge crowd, but they do when they come to St. Mary's. And it's a wonderful, wonderful event. It brings a tear to your eye, to be honest. As we move on, these are some of our other non-sports activities. Up here, we have our improv. This improv is an extracurricular that's run by our drama program. Here we have a group of students. We have a great relationship with the Damascene door at St. Patrick's. And if you don't know about the Damascene door, it runs out of St. Patrick's Parish and it feeds the hungry of the local downtown area. And we have many teachers and our chaplain bring student groups down there to volunteer. We just did a $3,000 fundraiser for them with the We Are Silent campaign. And it's a great thing for students to realize that there are people who need us, who are less fortunate, and we give them a way to give back. This is from Time from Better Times. This is our winter formal. That was at Michelangelo's. And this is an activity here that we like to do to begin the school year. And it's a positive mental health activity, a positive messaging activity where we get the students out there to write messages on the chalk. SHSM is a very big thing, although it doesn't really affect you in the short term because it's a grade 11 and grade 12 program, but you really need to know that we offer it. We have 7 sectors. They're all listed there: arts and culture, business, construction, energy, health and wellness, nonprofit, and transportation. So what it is a combination of a co-op and an academic program where students get some of their certifications, things like first aid, and they get hands-on work experience in that sector. And if they do the courses and do the co-op and get all the certifications, then they get a red seal on their diploma, and they get to wear a purple sash when they're graduating. As you can see, it's depicted here. And it's just a special extra that's offered here. Within those 7 sectors, there's lots of flexibility. So if your son or daughter has a particular interest, it doesn't seem to quite fit, I'm confident that our SHSM teachers are going to find a place. Mrs. Castura and Mrs. Baldwin have said many times that if you have an interest, we'll find a place for you in there. What happens there and why that's a really helpful thing to explore, although you don't have to do it as a grade 8 student, but as a grade 11 and a grade 12, the reason why it's important is, especially nowadays with post-secondary education being so important, it's so expensive and important. It's a good thing to get some experience in a sector you might be interested in prior to laying out the big cash and the time and then finding out maybe later that it wasn't for you. And you can do that at St. Mary's through the SHSM program. We're very proud of that program. We have one of the highest participation rates per capita in the province. We also offer robotics. Robotics is a multi-tiered team activity. It was designed to tack on to the fact that people really take sports seriously in life, but sports often don't lead very far. And the thing people love about sports is that it's a team activity and it's everybody working towards a collective goal, and you learn a lot of life lessons through it. So the person who made this into like a extracurricular, First Robotics, designed this idea of having these massive robotics competitions. And our school is top of the line when it comes to robotics. We have won a chairman's award, I don't know how many times, which is the top award that you can win. I think 4 times we've won that. And it's run like a sport. It's fun, but it's also educational, and it leads to great post-secondary destinations. As you can see, welcome girls and boys, all shapes and sizes, and we can find a place for you because it's multi-tiered. It's not just about the science person. There's a technical side, but there's also a human resources side as well, where it was presenting and things like that. On the left is an incredible thing, and I don't know if you've ever had a chance to experience it, but we host the STEMLY Cup every November. Of course, it didn't happen this year, but we have about 1,000 people in our building on a Saturday and on a Sunday. And then our robotics team and the teachers and the adult volunteers who support it deconstruct that entire thing, and you wouldn't even know that we had an event on Monday when school returns. But we are one of, I think, 4 schools that host these events. Most of these events are hosted at universities and at coliseums, but we host one here at St. Mary's. We were the first to host an event at a high school. Dreams is another thing we're somewhat famous for. I know Mr. Hall will be happy that I'm speaking about it, along with Mrs. Salvatore, our teacher supervisor, whose passion it is to run this program. It's an annual trip to the Dominican Republic to support education and medical down there where people need it. What has happened over the years, it started 21 years ago at St. Mary's. 15 students were moved in their religion class and decided to put their faith and social justice teachings into practice, and went down to the Dominican Republic, brought medical supplies, and started building houses. And we've been doing that ever since. Like everything, everything's on pause, but Dreams is something run at a lot of schools now, but it started at St. Mary's, and it really is a big part of our school. And every student has the opportunity to apply to go to Dreams, and we typically would send two or three groups every year. And that's how many people, when they're in grade 12, are willing to give up a couple $1,000s and their March break in their last year to go help. And what I think that speaks to is the values that they're learning over their 4 years at St. Mary's, because it's anything but a vacation. They're going down there to work and to make people's lives a little better. Here's another, it's not something offered at every school. It's offered at St. Mary's. We're famous for it, rowing. I have a great story about those 2 young ladies on the left. That's Jessica Decker, and that's Abby Millette. Jessica came to us from St. Joseph's, while Abby came from St. Bernadette. These 2 young ladies are everything and everything. They're OFSA cross-country runners, they're swimmers, they're on volleyball team, they're in coding clubs, they're in French immersion. And this is just a mixture of their 2 resumes. Abby was a member of the St. Mary Athletic Council, while Jessica was our prefect lead. Neither of them had ever rowed before they came to St. Mary's. And that's them holding the high school national championship. And Abby's up on our wall actually quite a few times. I think she's up pictured 3 times. I also want to show just a picture there to the right. These are some of the championships that we have won, and also just a picture above. And there's no special story about that picture, but I want to, I think it highlights what we do at St. Mary's. We have a real culture of celebration. If you, unfortunately, you're not able to visit the school, but if you did, you'd see all kinds of championship plaques all over our school, through all the sports and non-sports, all our dramas, our plays, but a lot of our teams have won championships over the years, and our individuals have won OFSA medals, and we highlight and celebrate all of them. So that's all done by student leaders, led by staff who've created that culture to celebrate each other's achievements, both inside and outside of the classroom. These are just some other hot topics I hope to answer, and if you're still with me, I appreciate it. We're nearing the end here. I want to just touch on these briefly because I know that somehow they are sometimes some of these things are things that people are worried about. So I just want to talk about busing first of all. Many people, regardless of where you live, we're an interesting school. We're the smallest school with the largest geographic footprint. We go all the way up to Carlisle, and some people I know have to commit to a 55-minute bus ride to get their students to come to St. Mary's. But I do want to say that if you live in a place like that, you're likely going to be having your son or daughter take the bus anyway. And I really do believe that busing is not what we remember busing to be. I was a school bus student when I was a child. And honestly, the school bus was not a good place to be back then. But nowadays, these students on the school bus, they're doing homework, they're watching videos, they're playing video games, they're getting downtime. And in our normally busy society, I don't see a lot of people complaining about the busing like I would expect. So I just really hope that since most of you are likely going to be putting your child on a bus anyway, that you think more about the destination rather than the ride. And if you're confident that, as I am, that this is a good destination for your son, then I would ask you to just take that leap of faith and put him on the bus, because I don't think you'll regret it. Many people have for many years, and they don't regret it. I do want to talk quickly about just Hamilton. Where are we located? Well, we're located in West Hamilton, right near McMaster. A lot of people, let's say from the Waterdown area, maybe don't go to Hamilton very often and maybe aren't sure about sending their child to a school in Hamilton. But I would just say to you very simply, like, if you're not worried about sending your child to McMaster University, then you really shouldn't be worried about sending your child to St. Mary's, because we're right near the campus. In fact, we sometimes have to kick the McMaster students out of our parking lot as they try to get some free parking. We're that close, and it's a wonderful area. We do offer a breakfast program and tutoring. Obviously, COVID interrupted the tutoring, but our breakfast program is running every day. Come all. You don't have to be don't have to have special needs. Every student is welcome to join us at the breakfast program. It's well funded thanks to the leadership of Mr. Pados and also the work of our educational assistants, who really take the breakfast program as a passion. We have a beautiful library and learning commons, one that's beautiful and built for 1,800 students, and it's enjoyed by 900. And in general, I would say that we have a wonderful, wonderful staff. If you look at that picture on the right, you see gleaming floors. We didn't clean them special for that picture. That was just a regular day. Everything is possible at our school due to the outstanding staff, the teaching and the non-teaching staff, the custodians, the clericals, the educational assistants, the lunch supervisors, of course, the vice principals. And we've been through now 50 years of 3 buildings, huge turnover, but the spirit of St. Mary's is very much alive. And the spirit of St. Mary's is encapsulated in the school motto, which is live, love, and learn. And I hope that you enjoyed this presentation, and I hope you're as excited for your child to attend our high school as we are excited to welcome them. This is the final slide, you'll be happy to know. And I just want to tie up these things now. First of all, if you're looking to register, this is it's all on this slide, but it's also available on our website. But I want to kind of talk about the different situations. So the first one is if you're an inbounds Catholic feeder school child, so you're in our family of schools, you're almost like our VIPs. You really don't have to do anything but work through your current grade 8 classroom in elementary school. We are going to have classroom visits in January where we do course selections. But we're also going to be visiting, similar to this actually, in a virtual Cheers, Fears, and Unclears next week. We are able to access directly to those students. So really, if you just go to school and work through your classroom, you have nothing to worry about. You'll get registered and you'll have a place, you'll have the courses you want and so forth. For anyone else, I'm going to recommend that you go to our website. And this, for anyone else, I mean, if you're out of bounds Catholic and you want to attend St. Mary's, or you're public school in or out of bounds, none of these things are commitments, but if you want more information, go to our website. And on that website, you'll see that we have the registration package request. So if you fill in that form, and the address is there, but you don't need to furiously write that down. It's on our website right now. It's clickable. That's going to take you to a form that you can fill in. If you fill it in, we are going to mail you out the package for registration. Like I said, it's not a commitment. If you're interested and you want to see more, you can take a look for that package. For those of you with questions, I imagine that there are some questions. But when I thought about the logistics of trying to do that virtually, I thought it's best to do this in a different way. So what we're going to do with the questions is it's a very similar thing. It's also on the website. We're going to ask you to fill in that form, and in that way we can direct the question to the appropriate person. So if you have a question about your child with special needs, or you have a question about our English program or science program, we will get it to the proper person and get an answer back to you as soon as possible. Email obviously would be ideal for that, but if you're not an email person, just leave us your phone number and we'll make a phone call. If you have any other particular questions, something not covered here, notice the email and the phone number at the bottom of the screen. Those two things are available anytime, and we're very responsive. Finally, we're going to do an online Q&A session where we can open it up to questions sometime in the future, and just please watch our webpage for details on that. This session, as you know, mentioned earlier, but some of you may have joined us late, was recorded. It's going to be uploaded. So feel free to share that with anyone who was unable to join tonight's session. And finally, just if you're interested in us, you want to see if it's all flash or if we actually do it, you might want to follow us on social media. We have a strong social media presence. STMA, C.S.S, for those three, and we tend to populate that often. Finally, I want to very specially thank the staff members who made tonight possible. It's obviously is not a one-man show at all at this school. The people around me work very, very hard to make this school a great place to be. And I want to thank them very much for helping me with this and making tonight what I think is a great success. And I want to thank you at home for joining us, for giving me your time on a Tuesday. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and we will get back to you. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.